Hey y'all, so I am in the process of overdoing my makeup, over applying, because I'm going to be filming some videos later today and I'm going to have a ring light that's going to wash out a lot of my makeup. You might ask, then why do you use the ring light? If you don't use the ring light, your face ends up in the shadow in a way that's really bizarre for filming. You kind of have to balance out light directly on your face with where you want color and shadow to show up. It's still a work in progress for me. I'm no expert at it. I just know for sure that when you're filming, whatever you think you look like, you have to imagine that on camera, it's about 5 times more washed out. So for example, if I want contour on my face, like here, I want to chisel this out. What you're seeing in the camera in person is a lot more dramatic. So I have a mirror behind the phone. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I can see that in the mirror here in regular bathroom lighting, it looks like it's chiseled and dark. However, in the camera, it just looks like a slight indentation. Very, very different effect. But I wanted to do a little bit of a shop my stash and make up for dramatic filming looks or dramatic photos with you, and maybe make it a little bit quicker than a traditional get ready for me. Get ready with me, get ready for me. What in the world is that? So let's run through what I have done so far. Showered, moisturized my face with my regular Paula's Choice moisturizer that I talk about all the time. I did put on the Tatcha Essence before that, so I kind of patted that into my face, then did the moisturizer. And I really wanted to go for a bit of a glowy look today. Typically, I want matte when I'm on camera, or I want as matte as possible because I am a naturally very, very oily human. So I'm gonna get oily regardless. So when I'm prepping to film, I try to like mattify my face, knowing that I'm gonna have oiliness during the filming process, right? But for some reason today, I'm feeling a little bit like I want a more glowy look. So one of my favorite moisturizing primers is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Vitamin Enriched Face Base from Bobbi Brown. I've gone through multiples of this and have a backup. I really like this. I love the way it smells. It has this nice little lemony, citrusy scent that it's light. It's not dramatically fragranced. And I love I don't know, there's something about the shape of this little bottle that I like. The consistency is nice and thick without being too thick. And it does sink into the skin nicely and it feels really good. It feels like it provides a nice solid base for any other products while not drying out my face. So you do have to be in the mood for a bit of a glowy look if you want to use this. So I did that. And then I did a trick that I sometimes do and sometimes forget to do. But if you want your foundation to sit well and last longer and look more flawless, one tip is to use a face powder before your foundation. I know, sounds super crazy, but I promise you that you're not gonna mess up your look by doing that as long as you don't cake on the powder. So I use a big fluffy brush. This is the IT Cosmetics. I think it's just called a powder brush. Does it have a name? All Over Powder Brush is what it's called. It has a huge head on it, very fluffy, but it's dense enough to pick up the powder. This is the Sephora, just regular old Micro Smooth Multitasking Baked Face Powder. This is in the color 30 Sand. And I applied that as a light base all over my face after the priming moisturizer or moisturizing primer from Bobbi Brown. Next, I did a couple of different things. One is I used the Ulta Beauty Under Eye Primer, and that helps to spackle in a little bit of the very natural fine lines that we get under our eyes as we begin to age. And I haven't done concealer yet, so I need to do that, but let me tell you what else I did. On my eyelids, I used the Nars Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. Nars eyeshadow base. It looks like this. This is like an old tried and true, and this is in the color medium. So it provides a little bit of coverage, but the nice thing about it, even if you have more like chocolate colored skin, you can use this to brighten up the base of your eyeshadow without getting like too into a color that's just completely different. You see how it just kind of brightens it up just a little bit. If you're using eyeshadow that you want to pop forward, this is a nice one. Then before I applied my foundation, I pulled out an oldie but a goodie. Sometimes I forget that I have this and I shouldn't because it's so super good. This looks disgusting, but I love it. It is the RCMA, and those initials stand for Research Council of Makeup Artists, RCMA. And this is the Vincent Kehoe number 11, VK number 11 foundation and concealer palette. So it's 2-in-1. You don't need a lot of skill to use this. It looks totally disgusting. I mean, you see some stuff out here. You can even use the mirror to mix up some of these colors, almost like as a palette base. But I used the Sonia G Classic Base. There's lots of different brushes you can use to contour your face, but I use this and I like to just mix a lot of these. Some of these are cooler toned. I'm sorry, that's not cool tone. These are cooler toned, these are warmer toned. I like to mix them up, and then you really can't go wrong with this. Kind of pat in an indentation on my squirrel cheeks. I have a little bit of chub in my cheeks. It's about time I lose a little weight, but until then, I'm gonna use some makeup to contour. So that creates a little bit of shadow. I personally, as I am getting older, like to bring the shadow that I'm creating on my cheek almost like in a swoop. For me, I like the way that looks on my face. Instead of just a straight line down, I like to create a little bit of a swoop up in here for my face shape to help push this part of my face back in space. Remember that darkness on your face, darker colors, pushes back, and then lightness pushes forward. Okay, so that's part of the reason that people do a lighter highlight sometimes, kind of a thing with their concealer under here to help that look appear a little bit plumped up instead of like sallow and depressed back in. Now I'm trying out little different techniques because my jawline is changing. Like I said, I need to lose some weight, so I've gained a little weight during the COVID times, and here's a little bit of that weight. But anyway, to kind of minimize the effect of that, but also some of this is just genetic. I'm 47. This is what my family looks like. My mom, my sisters, my dad's side. So I have it both on the maternal and the fraternal side, where the jowls just start to develop, and there's marionette lines like right here. The nasolabial lines start to become pronounced as members of my family age. It just is what it is. So I'm doing a couple of different things to try to play around, as I've seen from other makeup artists on YouTube. For example, you can use contour to chisel under your chin to give the appearance of your chin being not as fatty under here, and chiseling like a sharper jawline. However, for me, because of the aging process and the extra skin and so forth, like this little portion here sticks down lower. You can see that sort of starting to sag a little bit. I'm not into the plastic surgery thing. Talk to me in 10 years, I might change my mind. But right now, I don't have the time, the energy, or the headspace to even think about that. So I just use makeup to play around. And what I have done is brought the contour up higher in the places where it's sagging to create the illusion of a straighter line versus this line where it's like boop, sag, and then back up, and then sag again. Now, it's not perfect, and I'm still kind of playing around with how to do that, but that's what I am experimenting with to kind of change the way, the shape of the jawline here. Now, I should probably do a little bit of concealer here and under here to help those pop forward instead of sink back. So hang on a second, but before we do that, I just wanted to mention, this is a cream formula. And I love cream formulas because they're pretty, well, powders are too, but there's something just special about the way that a good, well done cream formula blends into your existing makeup. So like if I step back, in my opinion, you might not be able to tell unless you understand how makeup works that I even have contour on my face of any kind or bronzer on my face of any kind. It might just look like this is the coloring of my skin. And that's one of the beauties of cream, is that it blends out so nicely depending on how the formula is. So anyway, I have done this with the little swoop. I've done my chin. I have also, with the same brush, which is probably not good. You should probably use a thinner brush like that in that kind of a shape, but I'm lazy. And I've done a little bit of contouring on my nose to give the appearance that this portion is a little bit pinched in. I've done in here to create a deeper eye socket and kind of push that back for a bit of a sultry look when I finish my eyeshadow, which I haven't even started. And I've done all around my very pronounced 5 head. I don't have a 4 head, I have a 5 head. I have a big old 5 head. So if you want to reduce the size, what I've done is created like a bronzed warm effect around it. And so this is the portion that shines out versus this top part, which is now darkened. The other thing I have done is I've used a little brush like this, which is typically for eyeliner, but I use it as a lip brush. My lips are smaller and thinner. However, to give my lips the illusion of fullness, without plumping my lips, I've never done any injections. I'm not against all of that at all. I just have never done any of that. So I, for now, just use makeup. Like I say, never say never. You never know in the future what you're gonna do. But for right now, I just don't have time or energy in my headspace to think about things like Botox and lip filler and all of that. If you do and it works for you, I do not judge. Do it and look fantastic. Look your best, whatever that means for you. So I take like a darker color like this, and I have lines all around the edge. So this is an illusion. This is not, my lip doesn't come out here. My lip actually stops up in here. When I put on lipstick and everything, you won't be able to tell, especially on camera. In person, if I were going to an event, I would do this, but a lot less dramatically, because people are close up on you and may notice that you have like fake lined your lips, you know? And you look weird and phony. I don't want to do that in person. Like I wouldn't do this in an office setting, for example. But for filming and for pictures, or in situations where you're going to be farther away from people, like presenting on stage or something, it's totally fine and no one will know. And it gives the illusion of a thicker lip, okay? A thicker, juicier lip. There's some other little tricks you can do to make your lips pop more if you're interested in that, like create an ombre effect using a darker lipstick on the outside here, like right in these parts, and then a lighter color in the middle. And then you take a little hint of lip gloss that's a little shiny and boop, put it on the very tip of your lip, and that creates this illusion of your lips being plumper and bigger. Anywho, let's do the concealer and let's get the rest of this makeup game going. Hello, I almost forgot to tell you what foundation I put on. By the way, I am using these little sponges for my face. These are AOA Paw, P-A-W sponges. Better than any other sponge I've ever used and super cheap. You can get a whole pack of these, like 6 or 7, for just dollars. Whereas like one little beauty blender sponge will cost you over 20 and it's not nearly as effective. These are the bomb.com. You can use them wet or dry. So awesome. But my foundation is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Soft Radiance. Again, when you see the word radiance in a foundation, it means it's going to give you some glow. So even though I've powdered and put on this foundation, I'm going to powder again a little bit just because you can already see the oil coming through on my skin. But if you like a glowy look, this is a beautiful, natural, I think, natural looking foundation. You know, people compliment me sometimes when they see my videos and say, you have wonderful skin. Of course, I always say thank you. They don't know that I actually have very textured skin. And part of the reason that they don't know that is because I have a pretty strong foundation routine, you know, moisturizing and then priming and foundation routine and then powder on top of that, which helps to blur the skin out, okay? So just keep that in mind. I do have very textured skin with a lot of large pores and some damage to my skin from when I, you know, picked at my face as a teenager. Like, who didn't do that had acne, right? And it stays with you through life, my friends. Tell your teenagers, leave your face alone. Okay, so we're gonna use the Giorgio Armani. This is called the Power Fabric Concealer, and this is in the color 4, the number 4. And I'm just gonna do, I already have, this already looks good to me. I'm gonna do a really light touch of concealer, and I'm gonna use the trick where you just do a little here, a little there, outer corners, and see if we can get these little marionette lines to chill the heck out, because they are rude. These marionette lines are like, girl, you think you're cute, but we know your age. I'm okay, I promise I am not diseased, but I did burn my hand cooking lasagna. I went in to grab the lasagna and my hand hit the rack. Ooh, it was so painful. I yelped like a doggy, a little puppy. Yeah. So let's blend out this concealer under the eye. You don't want, especially if you're older, like did you see what my skin just did? If you're older and you have skin that's very loose in this area and aging, you don't need a whole ton of concealer. A little bit goes a long way. I don't have bags under my eyes. I have the opposite problem. It looks sunken. If you do have bags under your eyes, may I advise you to check out Wayne Goss here on YouTube. He does these super fantastic mini tutorials on makeup, and he has a wonderful one on using concealer to get rid of the appearance of bags. And what he basically says is to put the concealer where the shadow is, which is actually under the bags instead of on top of the bags, which if you put it on top of the bags, it helps them pop out more. And you're trying not to do that. So how do we think this is looking? Let's see if I don't know if you can completely get rid of the look of the marionette line, but it's to me about reducing its appearance. And I have probably been a little bit too aggressive, but so from a distance, this face looks, if you're going for a more youthful look, I think this looks more youthful than if I didn't have any of this on. So what I'm gonna do is powder again, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of additional powder contouring. So I have all of this contouring under my actual foundation as like a base. So I'm just gonna be very liberal here, and I'm not even gonna tap it off because but I'm gonna tap lightly on my face. I'm not gonna tap it off the brush, but I'm gonna tap lightly on my face. You see how that has already taken away a lot of shine on my skin. But again, on camera, I do want this to look a little bit more carved in. So that's the part that I want to add some additional bronzing and contour in. So let me show you what I mean. So another oldie but goodie product in shopping my stash. This is from Pure, and this is called the Bronzing Act. I don't even know if Pure sells this anymore, but if they do, see if you can grab one of these. This is the matte bronzer, and this is in the color dark. So, boom. This is fairly dark for my complexion, but I just want to do like a little chisel right here. Okay, so let me get a special brush for that, or maybe I want to be obnoxious. Let's go with this. Let's just use what we have in hand. I am going to pinch this a little bit, so I've tapped it in. Let's see how this looks. You see how that color is dark? I'm going to blend it out in a second. Don't lose your mind, and don't go away. For me, I think it's important to do like a little bit of a C, like I said, like so the swoopy thing. So, and I'm going to brush up instead of down. Now, see what that looks like? If you stare at it up close, you can see, gosh, she has a whole lot of dark bronzer on there. However, that's not how people are looking at you on camera. So like if you're in a Zoom meeting or something like that, they're seeing it from back there. So now it looks like this is more chiseled in than before. And I'll do the same thing over here, kind of brush it up. It's not like the neatest. There are ways to make this neater. In fact, I think I'm gonna, let's do a little bit more down here in this hanging jowl area. So rude. So rude. I could probably do something here, like create a chisel here, but I'll experiment with that another day since I'm not quite sure what I'm doing there. If you're a makeup artist and you're watching and you have tips, drop them in the comments. You know, we're all here to learn. No one's perfect, and we're just having fun with makeup, right? Another tip, if you want your, and it doesn't matter if you have, well, it doesn't matter if you have hooded eyes. You have to do it a little bit differently. But if you want to push this back in space and have a more sultry look, use something like this. I'm not going to do it now because I have something else in mind. And use it like along the crease line and just work it in there with a brush. You have to use a brush kind of like something like this doesn't have too big of a head on it, like this. You see the difference in sizes? this is a much bigger head than this one is. You want something that's going to be like close to that crease area and not go too far up or too far down, and concentrate the darkness. Let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's see. So I'm going to use that same bronzer. See how that's creating a darker line along the crease. I have a leak in my sink and it's dripping. I hope it's not bothering y'all because it drives me crazy. We haven't fixed it yet. So it's like drip, drip, drip. Let's do the other side. But you see how that creates like a more sultry look here immediately than that. This is a more innocent, pure doe look. This one, I'm like getting a little bit, I'm starting to get the little vampy thing going on. So it just depends what you're going for. You can do the clean girl like aesthetic and don't get all crazy with like the dark creases and stuff. Or you can really go for it, especially if you're going for a dramatic look or an evening look. It really just depends what is the vibe that you're going for. You can do this obviously with much darker colors as well, like a really dark brown, even a black, you know. Be careful with black and experiment with it before the day of the thing you want to show off for. Like just try it at night before you take your makeup off, experiment and see just how crazy you can get before you completely unravel your entire look. And then that way you have practice for the day of. This is fine. Like if you just wanted to stop here, like for an everyday look, throw on some mascara, throw your lip on and a little blush, boom, you're done. But we're going for drama, so let's keep going here. Before we get into the eyeshadow look, if you want to further sort of mattify under your eyes and brighten up, I don't know if it's gonna work on me, the brightening effect, but we're gonna try this. One of my favorite under eye powders, you can tell how much this has been loved on. Look at this, I'm close to hitting pan on this thing. This is the McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder. This is in the color light. It doesn't come out like this on your eyes, and it doesn't matter what skin tone you are, you can still use this, it blends out. But there's also medium, and I wonder, does she have a darker toned one? I'm not sure, but so, and the brush that I would advise that you use, I really love this brush and it's very inexpensive. This is a setting brush. It's literally called the setting brush from Real Technique. So just tap in and very lightly tap under the eyes. Okay. Okay, and you can use this to sort of set your eyeshadow area also after you've primed and put a concealer on, or a eye primer, eyeshadow primer, whichever you choose. Okay, by the way, you can also use this down your nose. So I'm gonna do that a little bit to see if I can do just a little bit of mattifying and a little bit of brightening down the nose and up into this sort of T-zone. See how that has mattified incredibly? In fact, let's just go all out. Let me do a little bit of mattifying there as well. Now we're getting crazy. Let's do the marionette lines. Okay, all right, we're gonna go into, me and you, the Natasha Denona Bebop palette, which is probably one of my favorites. I would say in the top 3, maybe my favorite. Like if I had to take one palette to a deserted island, it would likely be this one, because it has some cool tone, some warm tones, some darker shades. It has the black for lining or for the vampy look if you want. And it's got these nice cool tone grays, which look really nice on me. It's got the gold, it's got the really simple background color, and I just love these 3 here, these like brown cinnamony colors for your crease, for all over look. All over look. You can do a lot there. So I am going to start with Freckle, which is this beautiful color here. One thing I'm trying to do better at is apply lightly at first, because I'm very, very aggressive with eyeshadow. Very aggressive, like obnoxiously so. And you can always build up, but it's really hard to take off once you have over-applied. So anyway, as long as I've been doing makeup, I have been really obnoxious about that. By the way, another tip, go ahead and load your brush. Some people don't tap. I do tap off the excess on my eyeshadow. And especially if I'm working with a color that's a little deeper, I tap it along the area that I want to use it in so as not to deposit too much in one place. I do that all the time and it's really hard to undo. So if I'm being more careful, I do the deposit technique and then a really light brush, super light, like feather light, and then get in there and really do some blending. I really could stop there, but you know I'm not. All right, so we're gonna go into Cocoa, this more brownish color, and we're gonna deepen the crease. In fact, let me use a different brush. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different that I haven't done in a long time. Bear with me in case I mess this up, but this is my Scott Barnes number 63 brush, and it's a mini fan brush like that, and I'm gonna see if I can use that to deepen the crease there. Now there's different ways to do it. The traditional way is to really follow along the brow bone. Lately, especially if you're on Instagram and you follow a lot of the sort of younger ladies experimenting with makeup, they sometimes will swoop out to here and just kind of create a different eye shape, or they do all of these techniques with like spoons and things to create different kinds of lines. I don't feel like experimenting with all of that today. Maybe another day. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist in creating that eye socket depth. So I love with this that you can apply the deepest part of the color by turning this on its side, pick up product, and deposit it along the line there. If you really want to be clean and you want like that sharp look, I don't need that. Like I'm okay with a little bit of messiness. You can always put a little bit of tape there, or there are all these different sort of contraptions that you can hold there to not get eyeshadow underneath this area here. Just keep it like along the line of your eye. It doesn't matter to me. It's not that serious for me. So let's get that depth going. I can't believe that we are 30 minutes plus into this video. In my mind, it's always like, let's do a little 10-minute video. Next thing you know, it's 2023 and I'm still recording the dang tutorial. So I'm just depositing that color along so that I don't drag it, and then I'm working the fan the other direction. So I deposit like that, and then I turn this way to blend out, which is one of the things I really like about this brush. It's the number 63 from Scott Barnes. Super friggin' cool. He's got some really, by the way, if you're not familiar with Scott Barnes, he is the makeup artist for J.Lo. Y'all know I'm trying to look like Lady J. Oh boy. I'm deepening in those corners. It creates a lot of depth and dimension when you do that. Don't be afraid to just play with makeup. Like I always say, you can always wash it off, y'all. It's just makeup. It's just makeup. Have fun. See what happens when you apply light and dark to different parts of your eye space and what it does, and see what you think. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that as it is. One of the things that I do like to do is I like to take my bronzer brush, and in this case I've used this, and blur out the edges. See? It helps to, this is before you do your, like, if you're doing like a foil or metallic or shimmer on your eyelids, do this beforehand, because otherwise that stuff will get all down in here and look crazy. But if we're just talking about like your background crease color, I've washed this side out, I'm gonna do this side a little bit more. But if we're just talking about your background base and your crease color, take that brush that you did your bronzer with and run it across the back of your eye to give it a blend without overworking the blending. It's like a really sort of natural, cool blending effect. All right, I'm digging the depth of this. If you want a more open doe eye, you don't want to do all of that, all of that deepening. You want to keep the back lighter and brighter and maybe create a little depth just in the corners, right? And keep the inside super light. I have not done that. I've done the opposite for effect. So I really, 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 really love this shimmery color here called Rustic. It looks like that. It's like a bronzy color, a true bronze. I'm going to place that on the outer lid, like so. The Bob Ross of makeup application. I'm gonna place it on the outer lid. Did y'all watch Bob Ross? I enjoyed watching him make those little trees, you guys. I always like to apply shimmers, mostly with my fingers. Sometimes I'll do it with like what's called a packer brush, which can be something like this. That has, like, this is a shimmer that I applied. It doesn't look like that, just looks dirty, but I promised this was a shimmer. In fact, let's do that so you see the idea. I am going to pick up Shine here, and then I'm gonna spray this a little bit with some setting spray. That's a trick to keep the glitter or the shine or whatever, the metallic that you're using on the brush and on your eye versus down your cheeks, especially if you're crazy like me and do that last instead of first. Hang on. Okay, so I have the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. Let me pack this brush a little bit. Okay, so I have some on here. I'm gonna do a really, really light spray, and then one of the things about using the setting spray is it helps the shimmer or the glitter or whatever to pop more. Helps it pop more and be more shiny. A truck just pulled up outside and I'm secretly hoping it's something I've ordered. I don't know what I've ordered. I don't remember that I ordered anything, but I'm hoping it's a package. Maybe a package that I have forgotten about. These little packer brushes, some people do like cut creases and stuff, meaning they take concealer and create a base there and then put the product on top. I'm lazy, so I just do it straight to whatever the eye looks like at that point. But I like that these brushes like this that have a little bit of an edge to them help you do a little bit of carving. Okay, that's pretty glamazam. I do want to do a little bit of color under my eye, not a lot, because as you start to apply color under your eye, you weigh your eyes down. Sometimes it's a sultry look that you're going for, so you really want to smoke out the top line and the bottom. So I'm always kind of like careful in the application so that I try not to overdo it. I'm not always careful, that's a darn lie. Sometimes I just overdo it. But I'm gonna use the same two colors. I'm gonna use this Freckle and then Cocoa, and start with the Freckle on the inside, the lighter color, and then do the darker on the outside. So, and I'm using a tiny little brush. What are you? Who made you? Who made you? Who's your mama? This is the Morphe M213. So I've packed a little bit on, and I love that it just gives like a subtle, just the subtlest of shadows there, without overly weighing down the eye. I really do like that. See the difference between these two? You can either, there's no wrong, right? People say you shouldn't do this, you should do that in makeup. I disagree. You can do whatever you want in makeup, but you have to make some decisions after you experiment about what do you like? How do you like that certain things look on your face? Do you want a heavy line under your eye, or do you want to keep it light, bright, and uplifted? There's all these videos that are like, don't do this, and they have an X over certain ways of doing makeup. And it kind of irritates me, because I'm like, you know, these people that are watching these videos, us, the viewers, we've been doing makeup longer than some of those reviewers have been alive. So calm down with the new little technique. Let me overdo my liner if I want to. I'm not hurting nobody. I ain't hurting nobody. Ooh, I think I like that. I like how it's looking a little bit smoked out. I'm gonna do a little bit of that brown cocoa on these outer edges. Let me just start to experiment and make sure that I don't get too crazy with that. Yeah, Boom. Adds a little bit of depth on the outside. I find one thing I do need to share is I need to look up into something when I'm doing the lower lash line, because if I do it like that, I overdo it by my own standards, okay? So there we are. And then I like to smooch with my fingers. I also want to smoke out the top. So for that, I am going to try to use this seed, but if that doesn't work, I'm going to use a gel liner, because your girl needs a little bit of drama on that outer edge. So I'm going to use seed. Let's try seed. This is where things can go horribly wrong, because normally by this step, and yep, that's what's happening. I am dripping down onto the bottom part. Okay, so let me use a little bit less. Let me tap off and stop being so dang aggressive. Tapping along the top line helps to not have a whole lot of fallout. Tapping it off, like I'm tapping off on the sink, but then also tapping in, like pressing in the liner on the top lash line helps to have less fallout, helps it actually like adhere. I guess I could wet this as well. That would work. That would work. I haven't done like one of these kind of videos, like tutorial-ish. I say tutorial lately. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm barely a makeup enthusiast. I just have a lot of makeup and I like to play with makeup. But I do enjoy, to the extent that I can, if there's something I feel like I've learned or that's effective, why not share with our friends? Sharing is caring, and we all want to look our best, don't we? Okay, I think I'm sort of happy with that. Just doing a little additional blending with the bigger brush that I have not used at all for this look. Okay, I think that's what we're gonna go with. I am going to do my eyebrows with the Winky Luxe Unibrow, put on mascara and put on fake lashes, and then we'll finish up with hair and cheeks and lips. Hang on, I'll be back. So I lied. I don't think I'm gonna do the false lashes. I'm not in the mood. False lashes are a big deal. But I did use this, it's called Kitten Karma, the color from Stila. It's like a glitter eye thing. And I wanna blend this out just a little bit. It adds so much pop right there if you want a little bit of drama. This is great for going out. Look at that, boom, pow, boom, pow. It's like Pootie Tang with the belt, pew, pew. A lot of light coming off of this, friends. And let me do it on this side before it dries out. This is powerful stuff. If you've ever used these like glitter things from Stila, and there's others that make them, but I only have the ones from Stila, they really, really add a lot of punch. And the applicators like this, you gotta just be really careful. You literally just have to go boop, like just tap it. Now if you're doing it on your eyeshadow, like as eyeshadow, apply like a little bit and then use a brush or your finger to blend it out, because it can be a little bit overwhelming. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's do cheeks. I think I want to do the color Peace in the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush. I need a brush to do that. And with these liquid blushes, anytime you have a blush like that, be careful and apply a couple of dots, maybe 3. Let's do 3. And you want to blend it out fairly quickly, just kind of pat. I feel like I applied too much. All right, and then let's do the other side. 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to remember to put my blush further back versus forward, which one can be a really aging look that you don't intend, especially as your cheeks start to sag like mine. It's just a more flattering look to put it up higher. It's a little sharp here. By the way, if you ever overdo something, just take your foundation sponge and kind of pat over it. Okay, that's a little better looking. Let's do lipstick, and I want to set it and forget it. The Morphe Continuous Mist. But let's find a lipstick that's gonna work. Try something a little crazy here. Like I was saying about the ombre effect, let me try it out. This is called Cinnamon Toast. It's the color 839 Cinnamon Toast from L'Oreal, the color Riche line. And I want to apply it just like on the outer edges. This could turn out completely crazy. So that's the outer edges, and it's darker. And then I'm gonna go in with, this is the color 225 cream. It's a cream color 225, super lustrous lipstick, Rose Wine from Revlon, Rose Wine. This is an old favorite. I think this might be the wrong tone, but let's try it out. Yeah, that's a little bluer than I was hoping for, and I knew that going in, so that was dumb. Let me try to find something a little bit lighter for the middle. I have the color Granny, which I love this. Granny Mamie from Lorac. That's what it looks like. Kind of like a clay color. A little bit more extreme on the outer edges. This is 804. He thinks he's macho. He thinks he's macho. I don't know what that means. Yeah, that's giving me more of the ombre effect I was hoping for. By the way, if you like a color that's a cream lipstick, but you don't want the cream effect. For example, here I have a lot going on my eyes. That glitter is pretty heavy. So if you don't want that and this, the glitter, the shine on your lips to compete, you can mattify your lip color with powder. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm taking that same under eye powder. There. I'm using different fingers. I don't want to go in with the finger that I use and then put on my lips and contaminate the product. There, I have created a matte lip when I had cream lipstick on. You can still do the little like punch in the middle with a brighter lipstick or a lip gloss, but you may not be able to tell. My lips are dramatically smaller than what they appear in the rearview mirror. No, in this this video here. Now you can still go back in with, let's just do it. I'm going back to that brush and I'm gonna go back around my lips. This time I'm just gonna use some eyeshadow, and I'm gonna use that Cocoa as a brown to darken up the outer edges. See how that has like defined that? So that's a little dramatic, but you get the idea that you can continue to build up the outer edges of your lip. You don't want to get too crazy, because even on camera it can look a little much or a lot much. All right, let's do the hair and a little bit of highlighter and get out of here. Another tip is before you finish off your look, after your eyelash mascara has dried, go back in and pump your eyelashes a little bit again with your lash curler to give it a bit more boom, oomph. See how they're standing up on that side? I already did the eyelash curler and then I did the mascara. And so I'm going back in now that the mascara has dried to pump it a bit more so that they stand at attention like I need them to. See that? All right, now we're gonna do, I've curled my hair and I'm gonna fluff this out in a minute. I'm trying to let the heat dry. I'm gonna take that same brush that I used under my eyes and I'm gonna attempt to do a little bit of highlighter with it. Of course, don't then go use this under your eyes again. The highlight color that I'm using is from Becca and it's called Opal, like that. It's like a silvery goldish color. It's both, right? Let's see, I haven't used this in forever and I have forgotten how this looks. So I just want to do a little tiny bit there and a little tiny bit there. A little bit on the edge of my nose, I think. Maybe a little bit here on the bridge. Am I messing up my whole look? I'm gonna go back over this with my blush brush, which is a little bit of a trick. Now I'm gonna take that same brush that I did the shimmer with. I'm gonna pick up a little bit. The reason I'm using this is because it's thin. Tapping a little bit off, and I think I wanna do just at the highest, see? You don't wanna drag, I used to back in the day, drag that highlight all the way out. It's too dramatic. I think if you want a little bit of drama, just put it like right under the highest point. And then kind of blend them together. What do we think? Now, before I end, let me take my blush brush and go back over the highlighter, and that makes it look like it's a luminous glow from within kind of a thing. We're gonna brush this hair out, and I think we're done. I do have an Instagram account by the same name as this channel that I don't post on every day, but I think I'm gonna post this look on there. It's Everyday Veronica on Instagram. And I do little inspirational quotes and sometimes some silly stuff, so I hope that you'll be interested in joining, and if not, that's totally cool. So here's the finished look. What do we think? I think I like it. So that's gonna be it for the day. And all right, friends, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me for 986 hours while I put this makeup look together. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.